Alright, day 2 begins. It's a not too terribly messy shop. Some parts. Alright, day 2 begins with me cutting up the parts for the little mounts for these reservoirs. As you might have guessed, these little reservoirs are going to be not really little. One of them is quite large, but this little one I'm starting off with is only going to be 5 3/4 when it's finished. And the deal is that it has end caps, as you can see, all these little parts that I made yesterday. Okay. And then, of course, the other top. Slap on there, right? Anyway, so that's your basic construction of it. Okay, but it's going to have ports and stuff that have to be tapped before I put it together, and because it's getting mounted, okay, on the inside, I need to, because this is only 1/4 inch. If I was tapping the mounts into the 1/2 inch, I could go about halfway through and just bottom out the tap and be good. But because I'm going through 1/4 inch, I'm going to through drill it, tap it through, then knock the little bumps down that you always get from tapping, and then this little piece is going to get glued. And the reason that the piece is the size it is because the piece that's going to mount up to it, like for instance, if this were where I was having my holes drilled, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Okay, and you can see that this is the same as that in width. And so the whole idea behind this being slightly smaller is because everything's going to have a 45-degree bevel routed onto the edges. So this is actually going to lose one material thickness when it goes all the way to the edge. So that's a 1/4 inch. So we gap it a 1/4 inch on either side. These will get beveled all the way around. These are square. And to accommodate the making of these H brackets, got my little routing form, and I'm just going to be sticking them to that and routing the 45 on that using my router tape. Okay, so here's the 3 parts that will mount of the bracket that, mount to the reservoir. Now I've got the 3 other larger parts that are going to mount to the wall. These are going to be wall-mounted reservoirs for a kind of a special setup. So here's another larger block. I'm going to do the same routine here. Got one more to go. Alright, and so I use the same block that I used to route to use as a drilling template so that everything comes out uniform. All I do is I just take a piece of blue tape. Blue tape is your friend. You're going to use a lot of it if you mod like I do. So I use a blue tape all at a time. So anyway, just has to hold it in place while I drill it over here on the drill press. Nothing really much to that. I think you've seen the drill press in operation before, but blast 4 holes in it. Then I'm going to use this same template to center up my 4 holes here. Come on, camera. This is a side piece. Okay. So all my side pieces will also get 4 holes, and then on the inside, covering those 4 holes, that. So the same deal as I go up to the 10 3/4 inch Prism Reservoir, just slap it in the center. And then for the 15, same thing. So I just wanted to show you. That's basically it. You can keep reusing the template for different purposes. Next step will be to enlarge all these holes, because these are actually going to be through holes for screws, not tapped holes. So these are going to get enlarged to accept a number 6, and these are going to get enlarged a lot more to accept a number 12. which is usually what are used for drywall anchors. Alright. Alright guys, now I'm on to putting all the ports in. Got about 12 ports I got to make, G-quarter ports. Pieces were marked and tapping. Okay, so now I'm on to the tapping part of it. The idea is that these reservoir sides need to be tapped all the way through. This is for a 632 thumb screw. As you can see, you're going to need about a 1/2 inch thumb screw to get through. Let me show you the part. Okay. It's not even going to show with this. Or you could just use a 1/2 inch long 632 with a plastic washer and get in there with that offset. But that's basically how that's going to go. So, the operation is, I use car wax. I like car wax. Easy to clean. It's not gummy and sticky like Tapmatic wax. Water soluble. You can just wash it off. Every time I lube the bit, I tap. Goes in nice and clean. Run the drill at low speed so the threads don't get hot. You do this without lube or you run it on high and you can melt the threads, tear them right out of there. It's just plastic after all. It's not like it's going to take a lot of strain. So then just to show you how that works out, it works out nice. You just put a 632 right in it. I'll be sealing that off on the inside, so I have a couple more of those to do. Okay, so tapping ports is pretty much the same deal, regardless of what size piece you want. You want to make sure you go through parallel. So you got to figure out a way to do that, and this is my way to do that. Keep my clutch on there so I don't stress out the piece when I'm first starting. I just want those threads to bite it. Just run it up and down a couple times. And then I test it with a G-quarter port barb every time on the ports, just to make sure. I know there's going to be a little paper in the way, but that's not going to stop it from showing whether or not it fits flush and parallel. So it fits correct, nice and flat against it. That's very important with these kind of trapped O-ring fittings that E&H pioneered way back in the day on overclock, before everybody in the world started making them. This is a very cool idea. You're trapping the O-ring, you're forcing it to compress, so it has to come in completely perpendicular to the surface. Got to be careful when you're tapping. Alright, I've already burned through half a day here, getting to this point. So where we were yesterday was I had the parts cut up roughly to size for the reservoirs. Today I made the parts for the little mounts. They're going to be so cute. This part's going to go against the drywall wall. That part's going to go against the reservoir. So I've got all the ports tapped. This is the sealing part that's going to seal the holes, which you'll see here. You've got holes here. See? That's what that's going to mount to. That's going to seal that. And the 1/2 inch sides are going to go on either side of that. Lovely. And this goes there. And which side? This is the double port on this one. We've got the, I think the single port on this side. I'll make sure I get it right before I put it together. I'll look at my picture. That's basically what we got. A box. It's not ready to be glued together yet, nor are these. As you can see, marks from the table saw, whatnot. Much sanding to commence. after I refuel. Oh yeah. There she blows. This part isn't glued on yet. And this part is. So that's what I was talking about with sealing up the holes. I pre-beveled the sides using a template. This is all polished up because it would be difficult to get in there and properly polish everything once it's assembled. So I had to polish the 3 parts and then stick it together. I'm going to leave the paper on it just to keep it from getting scratched. But as you can see, it's a thing of frickin' beauty. Frickin' beautiful. And I pre-beveled the end caps and sized them and everything. It just makes everything take so much longer, but in some ways it just makes it nicer because then it's less, at the end, less rough and tough work on the assembled unit. So anyway, so got these glue-bead together. Now I'm going to try and complete this unit. Let's see how far I can get with it. Alright, I've got the first of 3 glued up. Haven't completely finished it yet. As you can see, I still have to buff out some of the edges. I buffed out the end caps. So everything's glued up. And there's the little holes that go to these holes, right? So this thing could mount like that on a wall or a tech station or a computer case or whatever you like. There you have it. So I gotta let that dry for a little bit before I can fuss with it. Okay, the mess continues. So, as you saw, I have the other reservoir sitting over here. Very nice. Put that over there and just let that sit there for a while. Don't want to stress it out. Same with this. Now I'm working on the next one. I got these pieces sanded up ready for heat. I got these pre-routed, sanded, ready to glue up. Little piece ready to work up to 600 and polish. And now I'm getting ready to do that routine again. And I'm going to sand that on up to 600 and polish it before I stick them on, just to make life a little easier for me. This is the stuff. Man, this stuff is awesome for buffing. You use this to buff. So here we are at the end of day 2 of the Prism Reservoir project. Man, I gotta tell you something, these things take more time than you might think. Oh my God, it takes time. It takes time to make things pretty, huh? Got these nice polished edges here. This is ready to glue up. Glues up this piece. My nails won't work no more. Okay, there we go. Like that. There. Something like that. That's about ready to glue up. All these parts ready. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. I am hurting. I'm working my butt off down here. So, more tomorrow.